All right, so I think I've turned over another stone in this whole enchilada that we're doing here, and it kind of encompasses a couple of physics theories, a couple of conspiracy theories, of course, obviously, and then a couple of just notions that I literally just came up with on the fly, walking around my apartment, talking to myself, because that's what I do for a living these days. It started with my intrigue on the fact that we don't know anything about eels, apparently. Apparently, we don't know how they reproduce, even though we know how to pick the males from the females. That's how it started, so that's neither here nor there, but it does kind of tie into it, so I had to mention. Then, I had another creator that I was watching speak about a boat in January 3rd that was lost in the Bermuda Triangle with 20 people on it, and the search was called off almost immediately afterwards. So, that was kind of strange, but not as strange as the same boat washing up on Cakes and Turcos or whatever with 20 people on it that are all dead, like months later or years later, whatever. That sparked my intrigue on a memory that we were talking about with a friend of mine named Josh, and he told me the story about the CEO that had went to California, Silicon Valley. She was a CEO of a startup tech company, right? So she was big into computers and software and all that shit. And she went to Silicon Valley for a symposium to get inspiration for the new, thing that she was doing. And frantically, she called her family and she said to them, she was talking all kinds of weird shit. And then one of the things that she said, that this is all a thought experiment. We're all in the Matrix. None of this is real. And she hung up. And then, days later, she was found dead in the back of her car with no sign of a struggle and nothing like that, right? And nobody knows what happened, and people think she killed herself, but then her family says, no, of course she didn't. And usually families say that about suicides, but in this case, I'm siding with the family, I think. And this is why. There's another story of a woman that's mysteriously disappeared. Or actually, she didn't disappear. She was found in a water tank that was playing this alleged game with an elevator in California, with the Cecil Hotel, I think it's called, where you get onto the elevator and you go up and down a couple of floors and whatever you got to do. You got to do the Simon Says type bullshit, and then you end up in a new dimension. And there's video footage of this lady in the elevator acting all funny, weird, fucking looking out, coming back in and all kinds of weird shit. And then she was found dead. She had bipolar disorder, which isn't odd in this case, although they think that has a contribution to their death. I think that what is happening here... Why the fuck did that light just go on? Oh, man. Hey, any extra dimensional creatures, get the fuck away from me. I'm trying to explain this shit to everyone else so they could understand. Please. I'm not ready to go yet. Although, you never know. You don't ever know when you're ready to go. You never know when you're going. So my theory, or my idea about all this, encompasses the string theory. The string theory says that particles that are quantum, little tiny fuckers, are actually not particles, but they're strings. And they go through the universe and they communicate with each other, kind of like capillaries, like veins, you know what I mean? Like nerves, branches, roots, whatever. It's all the same shit. But this is on a smaller scale. And that brings sort of in the multiverse theory, because there's more than these three dimensions that we're perceiving. Now, what happens? Why do these people end up dead? Why do the eels go to the Bermuda Triangle to reproduce, but nobody knows where the new eels come from? Because I believe that it's a possibility that we quantum jump, into these other dimensions and realities or universes. So there's a parallel you, and there's millions of you, billions, fucking endless of yous. And they're all just chilling. And none of you know that the other one exists. You can't communicate with each other. Although kind of maybe sometimes when you get the notions that, grab the umbrella when it's sunny out, and then you're like, what do you mean? And then all of a sudden it rains and you're like, oh, okay. So what was that something that told you to grab the umbrella? You know what I mean? So two of you can't exist in the same dimension, in the same reality. It's just impossible because there's only one of you. There's you that you know, and then that's it. And then in that reality, it's you and that one that you know, and that's it. So if another you crossed over, you couldn't both exist because you can't both be you. You have to be one of you. So the one that essentially ends up becoming you, or the one that you end up becoming, is the one that is more optimized for that specific reality, moment in time, whatever. Not necessarily the strongest, but the fittest to live in that realm. And since the other one can't really be there, the other one dies. Or it doesn't die, but basically it's like a sugar cube that's getting thrown into water. When you throw a sugar cube into water, you see the sugar cube float down, but then it dissolves. It's still in there, but you can't see it. So that's essentially what happens to the consciousness. The body dies, the vessel dies. Everyone around here, oh my God, they're dead, nobody knows why, what the fuck happened, oh my God. You really just jump the realities. Whichever one of you was the most fit, either it's you or that you, stayed, and the rest of you assimilated like the sugar cube into the consciousness of the other person. This happens all the time. And you don't even skip a beat. You don't so much as feel as a fucking tickle or a hiccup when this happens because you're living your life like you were. And you don't become stronger, like Jet Li's the movie, the one where you get stronger and you can knock shit over. That's not really what happens because it's a state of equilibrium. So you just kind of blend in and then you kind of reach homeostasis. The reason that you jumped dimensions in the first place was because you consciously thought about it and you wanted to do it. But like really, really wanted to do it. Which is why the lady ended up in the water tower, unexplained why. And then the chick was found dead. I mean, this could be all bullshit and they both could have been killed by some fucking janitor or some shit, but I think there's a little bit more to it than that. Because that's what happens to all of us. All the time. So we're always jumping into these different realities, right? Constantly. And optimizing ourselves into the best possible fit for said reality. The other one gets left behind and the body dies. Now, what happens when you get old and you die of old age? Well, you didn't want to jump and you get hit by a bus. If you get hit by a bus, you still jump, but you don't. The same thing happens. You don't realize that you were hit by a bus. You remember your life as in the new reality as you were, and then the rest of you assimilates. The bus hit you assimilates into the other one. When you die of old age, or when you die like, it happens once in a lifetime, you actually, you not die, but you actually assimilate back into source, or go up to God, we're all one type shit. You assimilate back up there. You obviously, you're above all of this, so you see, not above physically, but you see all these different realities. You see what I'm explaining to you right now. You understand how it's happening. You remember everything. But then you also know that the next step for you, whoever it is to go back and do it again. That's it. And nobody's forcing you to do it. Whether you like it or not, it's still going to happen. Because whether you like breathing or not, you're still breathing. Right? You're going to breathe, whether you fucking want to or don't. And if you die, you're going to wake up again in the next life and you keep breathing. But you're not going to remember shit. Everybody wants to remember. You don't want to remember. We don't want remembrance of our past lives. We don't want to know the secrets. Trust me, you don't. And this is why. Because if you did remember, then you would understand that it's pointless. Because if you remember that you're just going to keep doing this again over and over and over again until everything reaches optimization, you're going to understand that this is bullshit and you don't want to fucking do it again. Fuck this. But that can't happen. It's just like that's not how it works. And your karmic circle, or your karmic wheel, so to speak, of like how well you did, how much good you put out, and all that shit, that revolves around where you're going to be reincarnated. And again, it's not something forced. It's more of like that pinball game in a carnival where you drop the thing and it like bounces around into these, and it finally ends up down there. That's what it is. It's just that your karmic circle is the whole game. So like it's going to be a whole game of, you're going to end up in a bunch of these places. Or if you did a shitty job, you're going to end up a bunch of these places. Or whatever it is, you're going to reincarnate. And when you remember all of this, and it's not like when you assimilate back into Source, there's like all your pets are there and all your family's there. And oh my God, it's so good to see you. And it's not like that. No one is really happy to see you, and no one's really sad to see you because no one's really anyone. You're them. You're everyone. It's just you. You know what I mean? Like you understand that, oh shit, that's right. Then you got to go back. And you're not mad about it. It's just the way it is. You can be mad as you want, but it's not going to change a thing. Like, for example, if I take this remote and I let it go right now, it's going to fall. Whether I like it or not, how much I curse at it, how much I fucking cry about it, how much, anything I do to it. In terms of feeling, it's still going to fucking fall. That's just the way it is. Right? So what does that mean? What do we do now? Well, it's the best thing you can do in any situation, really. The best you can. If you want to hate your life and you want to think that you've been treated unfairly and this is bullshit and there's no point in living, then by all means, go ahead and kill yourself. But you know what's going to happen. It's you're going to just end up and doing the same shit over again with no memory. Which is almost worse than suicide because at least, like, you living and you knowing that you don't like it, you're still, like, you know that you don't like it. You're not wiped with memory and you have to do it all over again, not having any recollection of you not liking it. That's even worse. Yeah, it's fucking worse. So please don't kill yourself. That's terrible. You didn't give yourself life, so there's no reason to take it. You have no right. And everything that's going on with this whole nano, techno, whatever the fucko, majestic 12 bullshit is just us, the humans that are doing this reincarnation thing that don't remember any of this, right, are attempting to figure it out or to control it somehow. But they can't because it's bigger than them. It's bigger than everyone. No matter how deep you try to dig, you're going to end up in the same spot. No matter how much you try to alter things, you're just going to have to take that much of a big turn back to the same origin. It's going to happen all over again. You know? So, with that being said, I guess the thing that you could take away from all of this is, one, you can't prove me wrong, but I can't prove me right. So I know I might not be right, but I also know I might not be wrong. Which is kind of like one of those paradoxes, like, well, what is it then? Well, it doesn't really fucking matter, does it? Because if you die and nothing happens, and you just look at blackness for all eternity, then might as well live a good life. And if what I'm saying is the truth, might as well live a good life. Do the right thing when no one's looking. Don't be a dick. For what? What are you being a dick for? Yes, you're allowed to be angry. Everyone's allowed to have emotions and feelings. Of course, you're human. That's where you're here. Learn, do stuff. But you're not learning and doing stuff for you. You're not going through all of this for you. Well, you are, but not for you. For the you that's all of us up there. The all source you. The you that when you die of old age, when you're supposed to, and go up there, assimilate, you could remember all of it, and you could be like, oh, well, fuck this shit. I don't want to do this again. Fuck that. Okay, cool. You don't want to do it? No problem. Go be a ghost. And so you float around the earth as a fucking spirit, haunting shit for a couple 100 years until you get bored of that, and you're like, well, fuck this. This is worse. So then you go, guess what happens? You go right back into being a person again, don't remember shit. Yeah. Crazy, right? So everyone's fascinated, apparently, all these aliens that are being abducted. I mean, all these people that are being abducted by aliens and their clothes are found like 20 feet over there and there's no bodies. That's just because they're jumping. They're jumping into the other realities. And the vessel here has to die. Sometimes when you jump into the other reality, the vessel there dies, but the whole reality takes on you. You know what I mean? So like somewhere out there, there's your family or your friends or whoever it is mourning your death right now. And they're like, oh my God, fucking, this is terrible. How did he die? We don't know. But in reality, you didn't really die. You just left that vessel behind with that reality and now are here. And there's millions and billions of those realities. Some are exactly like this one. Some are really far different from this one. Which is why if you jump into one that you don't exist in, really, you bring this reality with you there. And everything, like I said, a sugar cube in water, reaches homeostasis and balances out. It's like a ripple. You make a big splash, and then eventually it's nice and smooth. You don't notice a fucking thing. Because your brain, my brain, your brain, anyone's brain, hallucinates, essentially, our reality. Because the brain is what helps you see. The brain is what makes you feel, hear, smell. But what are those things? Those are just electrical impulses that your body, this vessel, sends to the brain that says, hey, this is blue. Hey, that's darkness. Blah, 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 blah. And then the brain, taking those, impulses, kind of paints a picture for you. Blah, 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 blah. And then if the person next to me agrees with that, that becomes reality. You see that? I think so. Is it yellow? Probably. Cool. That's it. It's yellow then. Because how many times have you seen someone that were completely wrong in an argument, right? So they're just completely full of shit, or they're completely wrong and they know they lost. And you're just just shut up. Stop fucking. But they're fighting tooth and nail to defend their belief, and they're desperate, and they're just saying the dumbest shit, but they're just trying to cling on to that little bit of whatever they think they're right. You defend that which you believe to the point where it becomes your reality. That is your brain trying to keep you comfortable, not go out of whack, because it's just going to have to reset you quicker. So keeping an open mind and constantly administering change into your life, either it's brushing your teeth with your left hand or taking another route to work or whatever, is essential for you to continue to incline, to accelerate, to evolve. Evolution is change and adaptation. And everything you've done from the first breath you took was exactly that. Change and adaptation. Your body is a filter. Your upbringing is a filter. Everything that you've been taught and you believe is a filter. A filter is something that takes away from something else, and it makes it more refined. So the more open your mind is, the more change you implement in your life, the broader or the finer, however you want to see it, the filter becomes. So now, this person that's set in his ways and is never going to believe anything else, their filter's fucking dense as shit. They're not going to understand because they don't want to understand, because they're clinging on to that hope, which is their reality. Which means that when they jump or when they die, they're just going to come back and do it again. Is it possible that when I jump, I reincarnate, don't remember any of it, and live a life of an idiot? Probably. It's possible. But most likely not, because the consciousness that drives this vessel, the whole drive behind each individual human before they assimilate into source, when we break off into source, into these tentacles that we are, that I call, we're all individual tentacles, big head of an octopus. The consciousness that drives the source follows the path of least resistance. So you think probably that your existence is what is, or it is existence. So your existence encompasses what is, when in fact, your entire existence is what isn't. Because just like something pushing on a wall, if the wall breaks, it's because it was the path of least resistance for that wood to that crack. That is you. You are consciousness's and life's path of least resistance. So when it's being pushed on, it doesn't go this way, it goes this way. Then it gets pushed here and it goes this way. Then it goes, and just like water trickles down through rocks, just like rats find small holes and get out, the path of least resistance is your life. And that is the world of opposites that I think David Bohm was talking about. And with the eels doing the shit that they do in the Bermuda Triangle or whatever the fuck they are, so are eels transdimensional? Probably, but so are we. We're just looking at eels like, whoa, this is fucking crazy. You fucking jumped 3 realities since you did that. You just don't know. 3 families are mourning your death somewhere. And like I said, you don't become stronger and more mighty like Jet Li did in the one, and he kicks over light posts and shit. No, you just become the sugar in the water. or the salt in the water. And let's not forget the water, because that's a huge part of it too. The water on Earth that we are part of, that we're fucking 70%, right? Water. Everything is pretty much water, essentially. Holds the information while we switch. The water is present in all of the universes. Is it the same water? I don't think so. But it's the same water in terms of it communicates, in terms of the string theory. So like the string theory, they all communicate to all the realities. So the water communicates to all the realities, even though it's not water. So like if you have like, it's like the two tuning forks. When you hit one, the other one vibrates at the same thing. You know what I mean? How are they communicating? It's a vibration. It's the same thing. So the water essentially does that over the multiverse. So whatever information you've input into the water, which is information that you've learned, that you've had, it'll take that for you and it'll give it back to you. But it won't give it back to you right away because you have to decipher. You have to decipher it. You have to figure out what the fuck it is, how much you put in, blah, blah, blah. And everyone alive, every fragment of consciousness that is a human being has an equal share of this water. And that's infinite. So like you could put as much information as you want or you could put as little as you want. Everyone's got the same amount. No one gets more or less. It's just how much we choose to contribute to it. There you go.